12 or Section 14 in place, as a member of Stand Up to Racism, you're breaking the law. You're not allowed to be here, Narinder. No, the law enforcement have said you aren't welcome to be here. I want her arrested. She is a member of Stand Up to Racism and she is in the exclusion zone. Arrest her!
We're protesting against UKIP, but they're making arrests of peaceful protesters. I actually don't know why they're arresting. Just women standing there, arresting them. Apparently, we're not allowed to be here, but UKIP, a far-right group, are allowed to march, but we've got to get lost.
We cannot look away for another moment. The MSM and elite class might pretend civil war isn't close, but the scenes on the streets of East London and Southampton over the weekend suggest it's already here. Islamists are attempting a takeover as our politicians and police look the other way. Gurmeet Singh of Urban Scoop said, well, others were too afraid to. This is the only threat to society we need to be concerned about. Nicole Lampard observed, UKIP wasn't allowed to march into our hamlets, but these guys, dressed as terrorists, were. And Adam Brooks made the abundantly fair point, let's be honest now. If a group of right-leaning white men, 60 to 70 men, dressed in militia-style outfits and covered their faces on a protest, the headlines the next day would be of a far-right group or threat. But this won't even make the papers, in my opinion. Well, it didn't make the papers. It didn't make the news bulletins. So I'm now going to show you the sectarian takeover of the UK in what used to be the heart of working-class Cockney East London.
Specifically targeting Islam. They said we're coming on a crusade. They said that we need to take back our streets. So my brothers, this is a show of unity that the brothers have mentioned. Even if they don't come today, we stand firm to let them know that if you come, anytime, we will stand firm. Anytime. And we will be ready to defend our masajid, to defend our elders, to defend our women, to defend our community. We're not the ones saying we're going to come on a crusade. We're not going into your area to cause you problems. You're coming into our homes, and you want to cause us problems. What's wrong with us standing up for our legitimate right? Today's not a day about who's from what ends, what options here, who you got a problem with. Today is a day when you unite upon La ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah. Takbir. Allahu Akbar.
What's going on, my people? As you can see, I'm live and direct here with all the brothers behind me. It's the beginning of the turnout. What, a few hundred of the brothers? Everyone's ready. Here, not for violence or hate. They're here to stand ground on our own area, which is Tower Hamlets.
On our own area. Perhaps it was this one video that summed up most how the dangerous woke liberal losers of the hard left who think they're allied with this mob have got another thing coming. The Mercian pointed out the exchange. Liberal, we're on the same side, bruv. Muslim, no, we're not. Liberal, yes, we are. The right tried to warn liberals and they hated us for it. Their eventual grovelling apology should never be accepted. Watch for yourself.
No need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
They're not on your side, you stupid idiot. They hate gay men. They hate women. They are not on your side. As Lawrence Fox said, Britain is heading for civil war. The Islamists will not need the support of useful idiot leftists for much longer. In fact, they will be the first to be purged if history is anything to go by. Just want to show you that video again, because it really is so extraordinary.
No need to that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
As the MSM obsess over trying to describe Reform UK MP Sarah Pochin as racist for stating the facts about anti-white racist advertising in the UK, Nigel Farage today tried to turn the attention to those scenes in East London.
Well, you know, you raised that point, and if you really want to talk about racism over the weekend, then, you know, whilst I've already said I thought Sarah's comments were ugly and out of place, they're not intentioned to be deeply unpleasant. There was proper racism happening in Tower Hamlets over the weekend, but no one's asked a question about that until you. None of the broadcasters are even interested in that, and I doubt they'll show the pictures. Yeah, outright intimidation to the point of sort of basically urging the mass wipeout of huge numbers of Jewish people. I have to say, Noah, I thought the scenes of those men, in many cases masks on, women brushed aside, not welcome to be any part of it. I actually think it's one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen in my whole life. And what a telling moment. The leftist stand up to racism were there with their banners. And one says to one of these mass marchers, "We're on the same side." To which the response comes, "No, we're not." Maybe one day the deluded left will wake up to realise they've been with very strange bedfellows. Organisations like Queers for Palestine spring to mind pretty quickly. No, I thought the scenes were absolutely terrifying. It was like a foreign invading army marching through our streets, and I defy anyone in this room to tell me that's wrong. I really, genuinely do.
A foreign invading army, I completely agree. And remember, those Islamist protests in Whitechapel were allowed to go ahead, even though the UKIP march was banned and moved to central London, when Narinder Kaur of the opposing Stand Up to Racism group turned up, ignoring police orders. As UKIP leader Nick Tenkoni put it, Narinder Kaur breached the Section 14 placed onto the Stand Up to Racism rabble. The Met Police failed to arrest her. Had we entered Tower Hamlets, we would have undoubtedly been arrested. The Met must arrest Narinder to prove they are not two-tiered. Watch what happened.
Narinder, there's a Section 12 or Section 14 in place. As a member of Stand Up to Racism, you're breaking the law. You're not allowed to be here, Narinder. No, the law enforcement have said you aren't welcome to be here. I want her arrested. She is a member of Stand Up to Racism and she is in the exclusion zone. Arrest her! Arrest her! Arrest her! Arrest her! Arrest her! If I was to go to Whitechapel now, I would be arrested. Stand Up to Racism have a Met Police authorisation. They are not allowed in this zone. Narinder Kaur, arrest her!
And they didn't. Which is just all the proof that we need of two-tier Britain, isn't it? Now, Narinder's race baiting and attention-seeking, purposefully stoking violence, that saw actually no evidence or action from the police. She posted, "They were chanting, 'Get Narinder off our streets.' So funny. Love how they were more interested in me than little Nick from UKIP. They tried to get me arrested but managed to just get the police to protect me. Thank you." Watch. Okay, half of you watching this are not subscribed to Dan Wootton Outspoken, and the best way you can support what we do is by hitting that subscribe button. It is completely free, and turn on the notification bell to be alerted to our new episodes.
Fascists! We have to resist in whatever way we want.
So I am here at Hyde Park and with the Stand Up Against Racism. We're protesting against UKIP, but they're making arrests of peaceful protesters. I actually don't know why they're arresting. Just women standing there, arresting them. Apparently we're not allowed to be here, but UKIP, a far-right group, are allowed to march, but we've got to get lost.
But these were not peaceful protests. In fact, the hard left mob showed their true colours with this attack on young Bob of Turning Point UK.
Yeah, well, they're running down now. Yeah, so as you can tell, quite comedically, so I've just been beamed in the face for no reason. It was a family, her mother was encouraging it, and I think this is the generation that we're raising. The fact is that people genuinely believe that the next generation of fascists are marching down to Marble Arch for no reason whatsoever, beyond the fact that they disagree with them. I think the divisiveness on the left is more in line with the fascists of 1940s Germany than, of course, the right are. I think we're incredibly civil. We're the ones who kind of evolved civil discourse, but unfortunately, these people here are violent dogs. Beans, that's just a waste of food, and considering the left talk about wealth inequality, I majorly appreciate that fact.
On Sunday, the left-wing hate mob moved to Southampton, where Nick Tanconi was targeted for continuing his campaign against the Islam takeover.
Patriots, who opposes our message? Anti-extremism, anti-Islamism and anti-communism. Who opposes our message? These people, communists, those subversives who want Britain shut down. These people must go. Islamists, invaders and the communists who dare call us racists and Nazis. These people want open borders. They've got to go home. Patriotic rage. Southampton, ready to kick off. These people, they've got to go.
As young Bob reporting from the scene pointed out, a left-wing agitator hurled a bottle of piss at the Southampton Patriots. When Danny Tomo tried to chase down the thug, he was pepper sprayed and then another beer can was thrown. This is what the left calls peaceful protest. Watch this horrifying urine attack on Tommy Robinson ally, Danny.
Danny, what was it in the bottle?
It was piss. It went all over me.
I thought it was. He said it went all over him.
So let's be clear what's going on. Paul Embry has put it powerfully. This is the Northern Islandisation of British politics. There are emerging and striking parallels between events in the province and on the mainland. As he writes, the status quo has failed. Our country is slowly underdeveloping. Everyone knows it. The economy is shattered. Public services are broken. Our borders are being overrun. And our infrastructure is in a state of disrepair. We don't build anything and we don't make anything. Meanwhile, there is a deepening sense of social disintegration in our communities. The air of decline permeates our land, and with it comes an increasing awareness that if radical change of the economic, social and cultural kind doesn't come about quickly, it may be too late. As events in Northern Ireland proved, no party, not even ones that have dominated the political scene for so long, are immune from the wrath of the voters. Sometimes the collapse is quick and unexpected. Throw in the flags and rise of communal sectarianism, and the emerging parallels between politics in Britain and the province become starker yet. we could well be facing the Northern Irelandisation of Britain in more ways than one. And think all this was going on this weekend amid complete and utter chaos and incompetence as this Labour government set free the country's most infamous sex offender, Hadush Kebatu, the epping illegal migrant who caused all of this summer unrest outside migrant hotels, in circumstances, by the way, that I simply do not believe. But it was disgusting. The whole thing was disgusting. As Adam Brooks revealed, the family of the 14-year-old victim were not even told that this scumbag who is in prison or was in prison for sexually assaulting their daughter was on the loose. Watch.
So the father of the 14-year-old that was sexually assaulted in June has asked me to read this statement personally from him. As a father, I am completely broken that the man who sexually assaulted my 14-year-old daughter just 4 months ago was accidentally released from prison onto the streets again. The trauma and torment my daughter has suffered since this assault has really hurt myself and my family. She was slowly starting to get some of her confidence back and has recently started seeing her closest friends and been back in school. Friday's news has caused her so much stress and anxiety. She feared seeing him again in the high road and him recognising her. I'm really worried for my daughter's mental health and well-being because of this assault. This man is a real danger to young women and children, and for him to be wrongly released and walk in the streets freely just 4 months after carrying out 2 sexual assaults, only 5 weeks after being sentenced, all because of a system failure on Friday, is unbelievably irresponsible. Myself and my family feel massively let down and infuriated by HMP Chelmsford, the police, the justice system and our Labour government. They have all failed.
As you should. It was an absolute disgrace. And do you think I believe the official version of events provided by David Lammy? Like hell I do. Yet still the lefties took the wrong stand. But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. And I'm very excited to say the heat has finally arrived overseas. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in the white hot special edition colorway from Manscaped is now available across the UK, Europe, and Australia. It's the same trimmer trusted by millions of men, including me, now with a clean white and gold finish that looks just as smooth as it shaves. But this isn't just a pretty face. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is built to handle your most sensitive areas with care, helping reduce the risk of nicks, cuts, and irritation where it matters most. So whether you're cleaning things up for a day, to trip, or just to feel a little bit more pot together, the white hot trimmer makes below-the-waist grooming a whole lot smoother. Literally. Join over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. And to the ladies in the Outspoken audience, trust me, this is a fail-safe gift for your boyfriend, your husband, your son, your brother, or your hard-to-buy-for male best mate. The blades are designed to glide over the skin with less tug and pull, helping the bloke in your life avoid the usual redness or irritation that comes with lower quality trimmers. It's simple, effective, and doesn't require a whole routine. Just pick it up, clean up what you need, and move on. Whether you're using it in the shower, on the go, or standing over the sink before a night out, the White Hot 5.0 Ultra fits into your day without getting in the way. Plus, the white and gold design actually looks good. You won't be hiding it in the bottom drawer anymore. White hot looks, smooth results. The White Hot 5.0 Ultra brings the heat without cooking your skin. It's sleek, easy to use, and way less terrifying than whatever you were using before. Use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. That's 15% off with the code Outspoken at manscaped.com. But now, back to the show.
I just think it's terribly uncharitable. And look, there are going to be some bad eggs. That's just indisputable. And we're seeing one of them escaping prison today. But the vast majority of them, chances are going to be people escaping horrible situations that are completely unimaginable to any of us who are lucky enough to be born in Britain. And I think we need a degree of compassion towards those people to do the right thing, process their claims. If they are successful, to integrate them in society, and if they are not successful, to move them on elsewhere.
Okay, my compassion, I have to say, is with the 14-year-old girl that was assaulted by this person. If you are joining us now, it is...
Correct, Dawn Neeson. As Liz Kershaw said, it's so easy to be a migrant hugger when you're too posh to be affected by their crimes. And we all know something must change.
2 days after a paedophile illegal migrant, Hadush Kebatu, was accidentally released by the authorities, the police have finally found him. Starmer says that he is appalled that this vile sex offender was loose on our streets. That's odd, because thanks to Starmer's own reforms, sex offenders like this will never go to jail in the first place. There will be hundreds of Kebatus, and they'll be coming to a street near you.
But the scandal of these migrant hotels just gets worse today. As Ross Clark reported, if we haven't already passed a watershed of public opinion on the issue of illegal migration, today's report into the growing scandal of asylum hotels is surely it. The report by the Commons Home Affairs Committee condemns the Home Office's failed, chaotic and expensive system of housing migrants in asylum hotels, the cost of which was allowed to soar from 4.5 billion to 15.3 billion as a result of poorly negotiated contracts and, in one case, a failure to collect £46 million of revenue it was due under a profit-sharing arrangement. Total incompetence and corruption. Yet Labour has now elected this woman to replace Angela Rayner as deputy leader. This woman, Lucy Powell, who you should remember dismissed the Pakistani Muslim rape gang scandal as a racist dog whistle.
Or the documentary on Channel 4 about rape gangs over this.
We want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah, okay.
There was a real issue.
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we? Yeah.
I think Lucy Powell is a repeat offender where this sort of thing is concerned. I mean, there was a set to she had with Andrew Neil on what was then the Daily Politics, just in the wake of the Manchester Arena bombing. She's a Manchester MP, and he just asked a straight question, you know, how bad is the problem of Islamist extremism in Manchester?
How serious is the problem of Islamist radicalisation in Manchester?
Well, I'm not sure that this is the right moment to totally go into that, because I don't even want to ascribe what has happened to the Islam faith.
She basically tells him off. She says we shouldn't be pointing the fingers at any particular community, which is a repulsive response to one of the most horrendous Islamist attacks we've ever seen. But also, frankly, dim. She obviously didn't even know what the word Islamist meant.
Yeah.
She obviously didn't even realise that he wasn't pointing the finger at ordinary British Muslims in Manchester or anywhere else. He was talking about the most deadly terror threat that we face then, now, and for many years. There's that, herself, many members of the Labour Party, sort of on a CV level, seem very impressive. But just aside from holding all the prejudices and the towards ordinary people, the willful blindness towards crimes like the grooming gangs, are also just incredibly thick.
So when Starmer posted after her appointment, congratulations, Lucy Powell, Labour's newly elected deputy leader, Lucy has always been a proud defender of Labour values, and that is exactly what we need at this moment. Together we will fight for Britain for decency and national renewal. I was able to ratio him with the very simple reply, you just sacked her, FFS. Does an honest word ever come out of your mouth? But I know the answer to that. We all know the answer to that. And it's the lies from Labour, which is why there has been no reckoning over Sadiq Khan's revolting rape gang cover-up in London, as police are set to reopen 9,000 cases. Yes, you heard that right, 9,000. As survivor Sammy Woodhouse put it, Sadiq Khan should be on criminal charges. Susan Hall, his Tory rival, has now called for him to stand down.
Questioning the mayor and the deputy mayor about rape gangs in London. You all saw that the mayor says, I don't know what she's talking about. What does she mean? Well, all of you knew what I meant, and I suspect he did. But trying to get information out of him and the Metropolitan Police, and definitely the Deputy Mayor, has been so difficult. But we now see that the Met are investigating 9,000 cases of grooming gangs, or rape gangs as I call them. 9,000. So from going in January, when I first started all these questions, when he said he didn't know what I mean, we're now seeing that they're admitting to at least 9,000 cases. I'm not surprised, because so many very brave victims or survivors have actually contacted me, telling me their terrible stories. So at least it's out there, and now they admit to it. But why did it take so long? Sadiq Khan is the Police and Crime Commissioner. He's the Mayor of London. What a damn disgrace he is. He is not worthy of that position.
He's not. He is a disgrace. He should go. But of course, so should Jess Phillips. Because we now know that the entire grooming gang inquiry has been corrupted. Thanks to this woman. Farage has today suggested it's replaced by a parliamentary court.
It will happen in the full glare of media. And it won't take years to conclude. It will take many weeks. It might take a couple of months, but so be it. And it will have the power to put in the Palace of Westminster those who are suspected of colluding in the cover-up of one of the most shameful stories in the history of our islands. And I'll be putting all of that to the Speaker tomorrow, and I hope and expect to get other figures in public life to come out and support this idea. It can happen quickly. Let's make it happen.
But Labour will not allow it to happen. Dan Hodges summed up the week for this government. This week, the government's failure to find a solution to the Maccabee ban was then overshadowed by the revelation a small boat migrant had returned after less than a month, which in turn was overshadowed by the collapse of the rape gang inquiry, which in turn was overshadowed by Labour's collapse in Wales, which in turn was overshadowed by the conclusive proof Starmer lied over China, which in turn has been overshadowed by the revelation the Epping sex offenders are on the loose. 1 week. 1 week. This cannot go on. Now, let me bring in the superstar panel. Christine and Neil Hamilton with me now. Neil, those scenes on the streets of East London over the weekend, Nigel Farage has described as being like watching an invading army. How can you see that and say that it doesn't look like the start of sectarianism, that it doesn't look like the start of a civil war, quite frankly?
Well, I've been confidently expecting this development for the last 50-odd years, ever since Enoch Powell's so-called Rivers of Blood speech in 1968 predicted this would be the inevitable development of mass migration of population groups with very different backgrounds and cultures and aspirations from what was then our indigenous population in the United Kingdom. What happens when groups get to a certain proportion in a particular area is that they vie for domination of that area. And this has been developing because our great cities have now, to a great extent, ceased to be what we might at one time have thought recognizably English, until they become effective outposts of foreign cultures of the countries from which these populations ultimately derive. And the sectarianism which this brings about, where group identity matters more than national identity, is exactly what Paul Embry referred to in respect of Northern Ireland, with tragic consequences there. And this can only get worse, actually, with migration being completely uncontrolled as it is now, and also with growing Islamicization or Islamization of the country. And you see on the streets there where politicized Islam is now standing up, as you say, to the idiot lefties who think that they're all on the same side. They'll be the first victims of the revolution, of course, as the middle class liberals in revolutionary France after 1789 went to the guillotine in short order as soon as the true revolutionaries got in control. I'm afraid, unless the country wakes up and unless our political class is booted out, hook, line and sinker, of Parliament, and we make the necessary changes to migration law and also human rights law and try to somehow reverse the tide, then we're going to face the complete breakup of our society, certainly in our great cities, if not in the wider countryside. And these scenes are becoming increasingly commonplace and is absolutely horrifying.
And Christine, Narinder Kaur turned up against the Section 14 from the police, remembering that UKIP had been banned from being able to march in Whitechapel, and yet she was not arrested. So it feels like total two-tier justice.
Absolutely. I mean, Narinder has not yet recovered from not being able to do Strictly because they didn't want her because people don't like her. She's a massive... Well, it's true. That's why she wasn't on Strictly. She's not the sort of person they want. She's a massive attention seeker. She did all that completely deliberately. She would have known she wasn't going to be arrested. Honestly, Dan, I've been sitting here in getting more and more... Well, I'm not shocked anymore, but I mean, those scenes on the streets of London, for goodness sake, of masked people in a semi-paramilitary apparel, I mean, it is absolutely horrific. What the hell has happened to the England that I grew up in and the England that anybody of our vintage, not yours, Neil's and my vintage, remember? It's being taken over, and as Neil said, this has been happening. We've got to, it's all, I'm afraid I take a very defeatist attitude that it's too late. They're here. And unless we're going to deport tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, they're here, they're going to outbreed us, and they are more determined than the average Brit to impose their values and their culture on us. I mean, it's our country, for heaven's sake.
Look
at that picture on the scene. Just look at that.
No police either. No police. So in Tower Hamlets, this mob are able to shut down the streets and run absolutely rampant with no police presence whatsoever, because there is a two-tier society and the elite class are just nodding this through. Neil, I've got to ask you, though, about the reaction from Narinder Kaur, because that felt like a purposeful attempt to race bait. And obviously you were the former leader of UKIP and you're still the honorary president, I believe, of UKIP. And she is there purposefully trying to bait your party, which has already been forced not to march in Whitechapel.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely disgraceful. It is an example of two-tier policing, quite a spectacular example, in fact. She deliberately went and put herself in that position, knowing that she was in breach of the law, and there were the police standing around, all around her, knowing that she was in breach of the law, but failing to move a muscle to do anything about it. I mean, to an extent, obviously, she's an irritating sort of blood vessel rather than anything more serious than that. But her deliberate provocation was designed, I suppose, to show up the fact of two-tier policing, as if to say, we rule the streets and we can do what we like, but you, so-called far right, not that UKIP is far right, of course, can't. So what we're seeing here actually is a form of censorship imposed upon people like us by people who wholly don't really believe in free speech at all, with the covert or perhaps overt support of the arms of the establishment that should be there to ensure that the law prevails and people's liberties will be protected. That isn't happening on our streets in increasing examples of this kind. And eventually, of course, more and more people like you and me are going to get angrier and angrier. And so the kind of civil disorder that I was talking about at the beginning of this segment of the programme is going to become a bigger and bigger problem for civil society. We're seeing the breakdown of civil society in this country. It was entirely predicted over half a century ago, and it's happening now before our very eyes.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go wherever you are.